Hello and welcome to Investment and Development Nigeria. This is the program that profiles Nigeria's investment opportunities and development strides across different sectors of the economy. Today, however, we're looking at the government of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In a way, we're setting agenda, discussing what needs to be done and what the expectations of Nigerians are. My name is Mayowa Uluwabi, and I have with me in the studio erudite minds to rub minds and discuss on this very special topic that is very crucial for Nigeria at this moment in history. And I have with me in the studio senior advocate of Nigeria. The last time he was there, he was not yet the son, so we crossed that bridge. Okay, we have Sam Kabo, a senior advocate of Nigeria. And we also have Josie Itoya Splendor, a political analyst. Okay, so let me start with you, the senior advocate of Nigeria. What are your expectations for the government?
I would start by saying if we have a very focused, dedicated, and a much more synergized government system, we should be able to have strides that would actually face the enormous challenges that we have. No doubt the government would be faced with very, very monumental challenges. The economy is in tatters, and the society itself is divided along all sort of lines, and you cannot have development without the unification of national interest. So I would expect that we have a 24-hour emergency governance system. If we have that, we should start from where we are supposed to start, because the cut-up gap that we have is vast, and I can tell you for the next 1 year it's not going to be a honeymoon, because for now, yes, they've been briefed, they'll be given handover notes, but they may not know how deep is, what would I call it, the malice, if I'm to say so. So
The diagnosis.
you see, the good thing about it is that the gentleman who is coming to be at the helms of affairs is somebody who is coming with a track record, with a history, and a kind of a personality that I think fits the bill. Like somebody has said, if there is anybody that is prepared for the job, it has to be Jagaban. Nobody in the history of Nigeria has come with that sort of a pedigree, with that sort of a background. And for those who have studied him over time, he's a very serious-minded person, and he's a goal-getter. And if he brings in that magic and that zest with which he has turned around Lagos, and for which he is known for, I think we should have a better day very soon, much sooner than we think. But like I said, we should have what I would call a synergized governance system. If the outgoing government has any mistakes that it did in its own structures, is what I would call the way the ministries and departments were operating. Most of them operated in silence. Almost every minister or every executive was working as a lord of the manor, so there was not that cohesion. And that is why people are even amazed to see the sort of things they have done from their handover note. People are saying, indeed, you've done this, and the public is now aware that you've done this. There was not more of a communication between what they were doing and the populace. And perception is very important in the governance system. People need to believe what you're doing.
All right.
And they need to have that understanding that indeed you are doing what you're doing.
Yes. All right, Sam Kabo, let me put you on a pause. Josie Itoya,
All right.
give us your own take.
Okay, I said I'm going to draw a line from what our respected SEM said about the government did so much and we didn't get to know because of no publicity. But I would say it's time they prioritize the lives of Nigerians. Now, like I said to a couple of persons before now, that Nigerians have been highly traumatized in the last 8 years. It got to a point where the value system of a society has become survival. And when the value system is on the survival base, the animalistic parts of people for survival begin to take place. There was barely no kind of crime that was not mentioned in the last 8 years. There are those with tender minds and those who were less strong mentally took their lives, from kids in school up to adults. Because there was just like this hopelessness. You can't imagine the number of Nigerians that have jackpot and some that are sick. So I would want government to respect the Nigerian. It's time to build the economy for the Nigerian. For me, a good economy is when I have money in my pocket and I'm able to buy something with it. That is my purchasing power. Is the money in my pocket. If you say your working electricity is good, I want to get home and turn on my electricity and it's working. That's how I define good governance. So enough of all the so much grammar policies. We speak so much grammar in Nigeria, but we have minimum respect for the Nigerian man working. Now, take for instance the security situation. There were so much expectations from Nigerians on this past government. Two things we prioritized them. We thought it was coming to deal with the insecurity problem, but now it has spread to the other part of the north. And then, of course, we have patches of it in the south. Then we thought, okay, fine, it's coming to deal with corruption as regards the economy. Now, do you know just how bad the security situation has worsened the prices of food in the market? I actually had a girl working for me whose parents were sacked from their village by this Fulani herdsmen. I mean, completely sacked from their village. And this is a village that produced lots of yam. Go around the whole northeast region of the Tiv area, speaking area of Taraba State, even into Benue. A lot of villages are empty. And then today you go to the market and it's a crazy situation. You go to the airport, everybody is begging. Somebody says good morning to you, he's expecting you to bring money. The Nigerian man is suffering. We had expectations for the last two governments. And it's like, so this is all what the prayers and all of that. So now that a lot of persons, because really when you look at the government, the people, more than half the population of Nigerians actually didn't vote for this government. But among the contesting people, he came first. That's a lot of problem. So where you have a government where more than half actually voted against it, because if you add the number of votes from the three other candidates, it's more than almost twice the votes of the man that won. It means you have a lot of work to endear the people to yourself. So I would like him to make a government that's people-oriented. We need to change the value system of Nigeria. We need to respect Nigerians. Enough of just doing what you want. We've seen too many things. I mean, we saw a CBN governor being a partisan political person, and he went scot-free. No punishment, nothing. Nigerians have suffered enough. Come and deal with the situation of security. And I know he has to be very creative about the economy. I know there are many ways people can say, okay, fine, you know what? So let me even say this. One of the saddest part of this whole thing we're going through is that it is the kobo of the down Nigerians that are actually running the Nigerian economy. Most of the average Nigerians have their children schooling abroad. They do their medicals abroad. Even the corruption is so bad now that when they even give contracts, people go to Dubai to buy these things. Shops, people are not patronizing shops. Economies are closing up. You don't have people even doing contracts anymore. It's the civil servants. So you begin to ask yourself, is this little naira you see, this lots of Nigerians alive, the ordinary Nigerians, they're actually moving our economy. They're the ones paying electricity bill. They are the ones exchanging naira notes to naira notes. At almost every privileged Nigerian, his economy is outside the country. He's paying school fees in dollars. He's checking his medicals in abroad. So who really is making the Nigerian economy work? So for the first time, it's the common Nigerian that is actually making Nigeria live. Because we have quite a number of them. This little exchange.
Sure.
You understand? So we
Small,
should,
medium
yes,
enterprises.
Yes, we should come to a point where we need to now beef up the economic value, the life value of the Nigerian man. These things are not difficult. I have respect, and because I know Tinubu has churned out masters. I mean, one of the greatest respect I have is when Fashola was able to create a solution for that traffic problem in Lagos. I mean, I used to wonder how he was able to create a BRT lane. You know, that means we have Nigerians that can think out solutions for us. I know we've always had Nigerians and like somebody once said too, we are just these superficial people. Everybody wants to be on the high. They don't care who is on the low. So he, as a matter of fact, needs to heighten the Nigerian economy, create my personal economy.
Okay. Let me come to you, Sam Kabo. So what specific policies do you think this government needs to put in place?
It's difficult to set an agenda for a government. They would have their own policies, but I would.
With what Josie has said and where we're
I
coming
want to
from.
emphasize some of the talking points you raised. Let the government be for the people, because that's what the governance is about.
Yes.
The government is about the people, you know. When they say the people, their welfare, their economy, their well-being, their security, and any other thing, it's extra. You can't be a government without you addressing this. So let your policy be people-centered, and let the policy be such that they are geared towards retrieving people from that shackle of poverty. Mind you, it's difficult for somebody who is trapped within that quagmire of poverty for him to be part of the productive economy, because no matter what, you can't strengthen your economy without having a strong chain of regionalization of your money. Let everybody has the opportunity to create, to produce, and to contribute to the production line. Yeah, it's a third world problem, yes. It's been part of us, yes. But it's high time we put aside excuses about our history, excuses about our who we are within the world economic system. Nigeria is big enough. Nigeria is endowed enough. It has the potentials to actually create and recreate itself from this circle of poverty. I would expect that the government would, if you ask me to name the areas that my mind is thinking about, for example, education should be a priority. Education, in the sense that without it, it's difficult for you to create a better tomorrow. And the education I'm talking about is not just about fancy education. It's education that would, at the end of the day, make the graduate a productive graduate. The surrender value, what the graduates are bringing to the market today, it's appalling. If you ask me to list my priority will be education. Education, we have to make the foundation of our development with the education system of the country. Because if we do not have the creative manpower, if we do not have the knowledge-based manpower, we would not go anywhere. All economies, any economy whatsoever that has frog jump or sidetrack the patterns of development that the theoreticians had laid out are those who had what? Made education their fast track tool. We have to go to education. And the institutions that I feel that are failing us for now, the main is the university system. The university system has to be revamped, both in terms of the recruitment of the staff, the management, and the curricula of all the subjects that they teach. It is no longer forgivable for you to just teach children to just cram and not to make them creative individuals. We have to see the surrender value. We have to see the essence of the money we put into education in our graduates. Let the graduates themselves be the engine of development. We cannot catch up. We cannot catch up with the developed world if we do not have a pool of creative graduates. Those Eastern economies that have made the sort of overnight impact they made for themselves are those who actually shut their borders and develop an education system that is tailored for their own needs. And today, what do you have? You have them challenging the West. Why can't we do that?
True.
Why should we still be having graduates who cannot write letters? How can we still have graduates of engineering who cannot what? Build bridges? Who cannot be what would you call it, models for younger school-going engineers to pattern themselves after? Why should we still be dependent on what? Western fashion technology, when we have an education system that is supposed to address that, tailor our own kids towards what? Being the engine of our own aspirations. So I would say put efforts on education. If they tell you the amount of money that is being exported to pay school fees abroad,
You don't even want to go there.
It's
mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling. And the reason is because middle-class parents don't believe in the education system. I would want to blame them. Everybody has this emotional attachment about wanting his child to be what? Well-educated or to catch up. But if you have an education system, a public education system that guarantees quality, value, and sustainability, you save that money.
Okay. So education.
When did we start going abroad? Those days, the graduates of coming from abroad were looked down upon because we feel that we who studied here, we are better off than them. And within our own profession, up to today, within our own age, we still believe that those who studied abroad had to do a lot to catch up with us. And the reason was because the education system was good and competitive. So much so that Nigeria had 5 universities that were ranked among the first 100 universities in the world. Today, do we have any within the first 1,000? I'm not too sure. And why is that so? Because the focus has changed. We no longer pay attention to Education. But what can we do without education? What can we do without having a pool of knowledgeable youths who are employable? You cannot just say, okay, every year you have 1 million graduates. What is the totality of the quality that they bring to the market? Less than 1%.
And we have a huge youth population.
A youth population. So let my prayer be, I'm emphasizing it, that let education be a priority. Okay. And employment too. You see, we have, for example, what he talked about, as he did not even emphasize it enough, once he tried to localize it, insecurity is all over the place. And the only way you can fight it for now is by having enough of of our youth into the security services. Why would you have so many of our youth unemployed when you have the need for more police, more military personnel, more immigration personnel, more paramilitary personnel? Draft them there, even if it's a mandatory period of about, say, 3 years. Why wouldn't you convert the NYSC system into a system that is meant to absorb them into the security apparatuses? Because when they have military training, for an example, even when they now veer off into the private sector, they become more disciplined and much more focused.
True.
So if you have them there, say for a period of, say, about 3 years, and they go through that discipline, by the time they come out as individuals into the society, their focus, discipline, and their development will be faster.
All
So
right.
let's have that as a priority. Yes, power would be another sector that I'm looking at, but if you give me education, if the administration of Bola Tinubu can give me education alone, I would think that history would give it a very good place
Okay.
tomorrow.
All right, just let's come to you. What specific areas do you want Tinubu's government to focus on?
Yes, there's always been the problem of the multi-ethnicity, multi-religious, multifaceted country, people making up a country. Now, is the truth is, it's easier to grow faster and run faster when you have agreeable indices. When our thought process is the same. Like somebody once said that in the southern part of the country, it's abominable to think that a 15-year-old child should be getting married. It's not a social thing. But in the north, it's okay. So you can't have a country where people actually have varying factors and value system, and then we still lack that ability to create a central value system. So maybe somewhere down the line we'll be able to have that government where governance is reduced really to the smallest part of government. You're able to collate people at their individual small units onto a massive general vision. But that aside, there's something the SAS said that is true. Do you know we're really running a country that the template was created by the colonial masters for their benefit? When you run a government where almost the entire resources of the country is paid as salary to civil servants, and then you ask them what is their productivity value. Erufai once said that it is a great abnormality that in his state, only about 50-something thousand people take all the money that comes in. How long are we going to go with a system and a structure that is very consuming? Why do we have a system where the government collects school fees from their schools and then government still pays the teachers? We have too many wastage all over the place. And this Babiala economy we have created from, let's collect. Every governor goes at the end of the month to go and collect. And then they come back home and begin to share. Salary takes this part. What is left for development? How are we going to grow? We need to structure our education away from that system where it's all about ministries, board, and peasants. So much goes into people's pocket. They don't even do much. A lot of them just go to the office and return back. So whether you're productive or not, you're being paid. So apart from the banking sector, that's actually induced discipline of work and targets, why don't we run our economy, the Nigerian economy, the Nigerian dream, like a target base? So we need to be able to draw back from this old neo-colonialism. It's the same thing that is spreading into people saying that if my child don't get the education from abroad, it's not worth anything. We're still putting too much emphasis on things that have gone stale. Even people who school abroad now know that the education system there is not different from what we see the analog. Our system actually was based through, the white man would create structures where they need you to bring out this thing and then they report up there. Why can you still be running an economy that is still in the 80s something? And we want to have development of the 20s. So there needs to be a general overhaul. Personally, I used to tell some persons that if I have to be a president for 8 years, I probably would just face even railway building. I'll call Nigeria and say, okay, fine, make some rail from here to this place, maintain the rail, make sure you employ the student, the youths that are within that vicinity, then you can also collect certain stipend as you move past. We can create, not just rail within Nigeria, but even to West African countries. We're supposed to create a system where farmers can take their produce to Cameroon. And Cameroon can be, we should be able to run something that you put the power of productivity in the hands of the people and then you make taxation from there. Let this government not follow the other government. We need new investment strategies.
All right, let's round up. Our time is limited. Essien, give us your final submission
My final submission will
in 60 seconds.
No, don't worry. It will be exactly what I said at the beginning.
Okay.
Let there be a 24-hour emergency disposition to governance. Let the government work in unison, not in silos, and let the people be carried along in all that the government intends to do and will do. If we have a government of the people, for the people, and by the people, we should be able to surmount our challenges.
All right. Let's come to you, Josie. Your final submission.
BAT is not one of the silver spoonish man. He's a guy on the street. They call him a city boy. He should be abreast. I know he knows the Nigerian person one on one. It's time for him to bring all his experience in the days on the streets to run this government. We need something drastic. We need something new. The problems are actually getting high. Besides, like I said, he has to be a people-friendly government because they all say against him. But let him shock us.
He shock you?
Make it shock us.
May shock us.
Shock us. First 100 days.
All right.
Create policies that are people-friendly.
Okay.
Yes. You can just crash the price of rice or just give free education. You should do something about let's say go better. Shock us. Then you can settle the government.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a wrap on Investment and Development Nigeria, and I've been talking to SAN Sam Kagbo. Thank you for coming onto the program.
Thank you always.
Josie Toya, thank you for coming onto the program. And I'm sure that our president will hear all of this, that we will need drastic action. In fact, shock us, Mr. President. And SAN also said that it's a 24-hour emergency service that you need to run in this government because things have really gone out of hand and Nigerians need a touch in their lives. I've never seen such a resilient people in my life. Ordinarily, in some countries, the citizens of this country, they will have caved in and there will have been a protest or an uprising. But we're still calm people. We believe in the system. We believe that God is about to do something to Nigeria and it will happen. My name is Mayowa Uluwabi. Thank you for watching. God bless Nigeria.